Hey everyone, I got a request here to show everyone how I was getting a couple of my games running at 60 or 90 frames per second on the Steam Deck. I specifically have the OLED model for the 90 hertz, and it is a bit of a process, so I was hoping to get this all done here quickly. So to start out here, what you will need as a prerequisite is lossless scaling. You can get it from the Steam store, and it is currently $8.99 Canadian. I'm not sure what that conversion would be for US currency, but that's about $10 after tax. And you will need to have Decky Loader, which is a plugin that you can get for your Steam Deck. And to get it, you would just click on the download button here. I will put the link in the description. And when you download it, you will get a file in your downloads folder called decky_installer.desktop.download. Now, what you're going to want to do first before anything is you're going to want to go into your start menu and click on Steam User. And you are going to want to change password. If you don't already have this, what you're going to want to do is click change password, and it will ask you to put a password in a couple of times just to confirm. It doesn't have to be a long password. It doesn't have to be your Steam password. It just has to be something as a administrator, essentially. Now, from there, what you're going to do is double click on the Decky installer, and you'll get this pop up here. And what you're going to do is click execute, and it will ask you for your sudo admin password. So what we'll do here is put that in. Daisy was my cat. And yours will look a little different as I already have mine updated, but what you should be doing is it'll give you two options. One will be for the latest release, and one will be for the latest pre-release. The pre-release will be for your beta and preview builds of SteamOS if you are on the beta or preview builds. The latest normal release will be for stable SteamOS, as you can see in these descriptions. I am on the stable release, so we're just going to click OK. I've already done this, so I'm not going to, but it will run you through an install, and you will eventually get a thing here in your terminal that will then say that it is complete and restart Steam. So we'll do this here, click OK, and now we are done. So what we can do here now is close everything, and we can return to Steam. Now, what you will get from here, when you tap this button here, is you'll get your quick menu. And here, I'll try to focus this a little better. You'll get the option now for a plugin manager. This is Decky. And from here, what you're going to want to do is you want to click on this store. And now it is a little weird because the alphabetical order is backwards. A to Z starts you at Z and works its way down, or whatever the last one was. So to make quick work of this, what we'll do is Z to A, and we are going to look for a specific plugin. This one right here, Decky LSFG-VK. And you are going to click install on it, let it run, and then click on the menu button again, and you will see the Decky plugin. Now, for this to work, what you're going to have to do is first have the lossless scaling installed on your Steam Deck. You don't have to worry about having a specific version of Proton or anything working on it. It just has to be installed. And after that, you're going to go into these settings and you're going to set your multiplier here. So right now, 2 times the FPS multiplier seems to be about the best that you can get right now. Because what this lossless scaling frame generation is going to do is basically make fake frames in between each frame that you have for your game. So it is trying to interpret these. So what is happening here is it is creating a fake frame between every frame to try and make up the 60 frames or 90 frames, whatever you're choosing to do. So right now I have 2 presets. I have a 30 FPS and I have a 45 FPS. Now what this is going to do is change the frame rate that I'm going to have set up, where the maximum frame rate for the games that are going to use this frame scale, the frame generation, are going to be capped to 30 frames, or, as you can see here, 45. For this example, we'll just do 30. Now, by default, your flow scale will be 80%, which will be lowering the resolution of your game during motion. So when you're moving back and forth, looking back and forth like this, or whatever you're doing, it will actually scale down what is not directly in the center of the frame. Again, this will be to your guys' liking, but I have found that 80% has been really good for the most part. Now, for the VSync, I would choose the FIFO VSync and turn it on. Reason for this is I know in a lot of cases we don't want to use VSync because it can cause input lag. But when you do have an unstable frame rate with the lossless scaling, it can cause issues with some really weird banding effects or even just instability of the frame rate altogether, where it won't feel smooth. So I recommend keeping that on. As for the performance mode, normally it is set on, and it does say here that it's recommended for most games, but I have found that while playing a couple of games, in particular Warhammer, Vermintide 2, and even Elden Ring, I have come across issues where particularly thin objects like stabbing swords and stuff in the game have come really, really janky, and it has caused some issues with just the overall, experience with moving textures. Things will disappear and then reappear again, things will flicker. So I have chosen to keep that off by default for most of my stuff. As for the HDR, I haven't actually been working with the HDR yet, just because a lot of the games that I play don't truly support HDR. The couple that do, I just haven't gotten around to testing it, but I will update you guys if I do end up using this at some point. Now, as for these workarounds, these are more specific game to game. So, like this one here will be the Disable Steam Deck mode. There are some games like the first Berserker, which is a Souls-like title, where if you load it up on a PC, even it being a Linux desktop, it will have options like frame generation and FSR or DLSS scaling. When you load this up on a Steam Deck, though, you will actually have these settings missing. And I'm not sure why the developers have done this, if it's just to optimize performance on the system, but they have chosen to do this. So if you do this, it will automatically disable everything that you start doing related to Steam Deck specific presets. Also, this overlay here, you'll notice here that this is less for normal Steam Deck users, but if you do use Mango HUD, you might have issues where you will have weird artifacting or things not showing up properly. So this is a workaround that works for that as well. I don't use it personally, but I have seen, at least in some videos online, of people having trouble. And again, a lot of these other ones are just conflicts with older titles or fixing things that run in OpenGL or might be running in like DirectX 9 or even 8 for older games. So you can use these as you choose. But by default, I have everything off. Now, our last thing that we're going to want to do here is we're going to copy the launch options. As you can see right here, in between these two, there is the /lsfg and then the command. So what we're going to do is copy this. And then we are going to go back and we're going to choose our game. So for instance, what I'm going to do is load up Elden Ring because this is a game that I have found I can't get over about 40 frames per second stable. And that is at the bare minimum lowest settings. So by doing this, we can go into our properties. We can go over on the general tab and you're going to open up your keyboard. And then as you can see right in this corner here, right beside where you would lower it, there is a paste button. You're going to want to click that. And what it's going to do is add this lsfg command. And again, make sure that you are set up with your profile. You can have this whatever. If you only have, say, a Steam Deck LCD or only play games at 60 frames per second, you don't have to worry about this. But for me personally, there are games that I like to play at the full 90 frames that I can't reach. Going back to it again, the first Berserker, you can set this up. But all you would do is click the edit, add, and then you're good to go. Once you have this all set up, we're going to go back. As you can see, we have Elden Ring loaded up, and we're going to play. And now we're going to do this in real time, so I do apologize for the long wait here. But once this is loaded up, I will boot up the on-screen display, and we'll get this set up so you can see just the kind of performance that we're getting here. So, over here, we can set that. We'll just do the second performance overlay for now. And as you can see in the settings here, we are going to set our game to 60 frames per second or whatever the maximum frame rate we are trying to achieve. And the reason for this is this will override any settings that are in the game. So if we were to, say, cap this to 30 frames instead of 60, we're going to have an issue where the lossless scaling will only work to 30 frames because it is like a system lock. But if we change this to 60, even if we switch the main game into 30 frames per second only, it will still override that and run at 60. Kind of confusing, but it works. Another thing that I like to do is go to allow tearing, and we will turn that on. The reason I'm doing that is because having the screen tearing off will actually, like having this option off, will add some extra input latency from the overlay that we don't want. And I've noticed here that this is all going to be subjective, person to person, but if you have played games at 30 frames per second before, you will have no issue with frame gen. But I have seen, and me personally in the past, have had problems with frame gen, noticing the latency. The Steam Deck has kind of made me realize that playing at 30 frames is not that bad. But now we're going to go here. As you can see, I have no other scaling methods. I have nothing else going on. And like you said, we're running at 60 frames. So we're going to load this up. Now, another thing I would like to note before we start is when you load up a game, there are going to be times where the first initial minute is going to be really janky, and you might see your frame rate dip as low as 5 frames per second. Don't worry about it. What you're going to want to do is just wait it out. That's why I waited at the menus partially. It's so I can actually get the frame rate to stabilize. But as you can see, we're running at 60 frames. And see if we can make that a little further back. And what we'll do is we will get into the main world. And I'll see what I can do here. Not particularly good at this game, but more of a Dark Souls person. But we'll go into the main world, and we will look at performance. And as you can see here, I'm only pulling about 12 watts, 13 watts. I think the maximum I've pulled is 15 for this, but I'm not entirely sure. I kind of turn my frame rate counters and stuff off for the most part. But as you can see, it all seems to be running fairly well. And again, sorry that was in the way, but we do have, we're about 16 watts. That'll go up and down. I believe as more of the world loads in, it does go lower. And now that frame input lag might look really bad. I'm not really entirely sure how it's going to come up on the video here. But again, this is completely subjective. I know people that will not be able to play like this. But for the most part, I have been playing Elden Ring Night Rain in particular. Probably about, I'd say a good 20 or 30 hours with the lossless scaling frame gen on. And for a game that really puts precise timing at the forefront, it has been fantastic. I've gotten through complete nights and stuff, finished my runs, level 15, no problems, and it's been fairly aggressive characters as well, not just ones that sit back. So again, this is going to work for some people, for other people it's not. I have found, though, that playing racing games has been particularly well done with the frame gen. I'm not sure what it is, but it seems like a lot of kind of car games or older style arcade racing games seem to be more reactive to the 30 frames. I don't know if that's just me going crazy or if that's an actual fact, but I have been playing a lot of BeamNG like this as well, and it has been an absolutely amazing experience, especially on the Steam Deck. So, yeah, I hope this helps, and if anybody needs any more help at all or has anything they'd like to add on to it, might have better settings than me for the I guess the frame gen, please let me know in the comments. That would be much appreciated. But yeah, I think that is everything for this video. Thank you guys, and I appreciate you guys looking to figure this out with me. Alright, have a good one.